The Prime Minister today threatened to call an early election if the Greens in the opposition kept blocking his legislation in Parliament, blocking things like his nature positive bill, more green tape, but not enough of it, says the Greens, and also his help to buy scheme to supposedly help first home buyers get into the property market. Now, block things twice, things like that, that gives Albanese the trigger for a double dissolution. That's an election for both houses of Parliament, a legal trigger to call an election. He talked tough on that today, even though the latest poll shows that if he did do that, he might actually lose.
I'll tell you a way to avoid a DD. It's for the coalition and the Greens to vote for legislation that they support. There's nothing in the legislation on the Nature Positive Act that they say they're opposed to.
Joining me are Will Kingston, host of Fire at Will, a podcast from The Spectator on politics and culture, and Damien Curry, a corporate communications consultant and host of his own video podcast, The Other Side, so plenty of alternative viewing for you. Damien, it's my golden rule never to make a threat unless you intend to keep it. Is this threat of an early election serious?
No, it's an absolute nonsense bluff, I think, Andrew, and he couldn't possibly go to an early election this year. He'd look absolutely weak and desperate. I think it's good to see him attacking the Greens, though, on their hypocrisy. There's plenty to attack there. But I think Peter Dutton can win. You know, if there's an election soon, he would be in very, very strong position to win, provided he listens to the Australians that really matter. And the Australians that really matter, of course, are the people in the rural and regional Australia, people in the outer suburbs of our cities. If he listens to the inner city woke within his own party also, the moderates, then he will probably lose. But it's going to take some wrestling on Dutton's part to stay strong and to be able to continue to take a strong stance on certain issues and to fight those forces around him, because he's surrounded with inner city types. I mean, that's who the political elite are made up of, right? Yeah,
absolutely. But Will, it goes to my point, you know, you don't make a threat, particularly in politics, unless you tend to keep it. Because in this case, the Greens were really laughing at him, saying, oh, really? Oh, really? And if you don't follow through, you look weak.
No, well, popular governments never play this card, Andrew, let alone unpopular ones. I think the truth of this government is that they have never recovered from the voice. Albanese looks like a diminished figure. He looks like he's never recovered from the voice. They don't have a raison d'etre, and so they just fall back on these common left-wing tropes of the moment, like policing misinformation, like climate virtue signalling, like social justice ideology, because they're either afraid or incapable of the serious reform that this country needs. I disagree. I think they probably will win the next election, but they'll win with a reduced majority, or alternatively, they'll go into minority government. So you won't see any reform in a minority government situation. That'll be 6 more years of wasted time in this country. Add that onto the time that we saw when not much was done under the coalition and Labor before them, and you really quickly realise that not much has been done around systemic structural reform since Howard. I just worry that we are just in stasis at the moment, and it's I think it's quite sad to watch.
I think if Labor does return needing to have the Greens to support almost everything it does, that would be an absolute cancer on Labor and would kill it for a long, long time after that.